The bet was simple. Transform a homeless woman, prove society worships beauty over humanity. Fabio Ignacio chose Sonia James. Invisible, forgotten, perfect. 3 weeks later, the world bowed at her feet. Invitations flooded in. Powerful men pursued her. She became everything he designed her to be. But then she asked one question that shattered everything. Was I ever real to you? Now his empire is crumbling. His confession went viral. And the woman he used as an experiment? She's the only one who can save him. Or destroy him. Hey fam, welcome back. Your constant support fuels every story we share. Do us a solid. Drop a comment with your city/country and what time it is there. We're building a global community and want to know exactly who's rocking with us. And remember to subscribe on the channel. The cigar smoke hung thick in the private room of Regno, the most exclusive club in the city. One that didn't exist on any map, didn't advertise, and certainly didn't welcome strangers. Here, in the belly of marble and gold, men who owned judges and senators gathered to drink bourbon that cost more than most people's mortgages. And tonight, they were bored. Fabio Ignacio leaned back in his leather chair, swirling amber liquid in a crystal glass, his dark eyes scanning the faces around the table. I'll choose someone off the streets. Homeless. Broken. Forgotten. I'll turn them into someone the world can't ignore. And when people start bowing, when doors start opening, when the same people who would have stepped over them on the sidewalk start offering them champagne, you'll see exactly what humanity is worth. Silence. Then Enzo laughed. A cold, sharp sound. You're serious. Dead serious. And what do we get out of this? Fabio gestured lazily. Entertainment. Proof. And if I'm wrong, if society doesn't fall over itself to worship someone just because they're polished, I'll fund your next 3 operations out of pocket. Enzo's eyes gleamed. And if you're right? You admit I'm the smartest man in this room. Deal. Money hit the table. Crisp bills, wire transfer confirmations, watches worth small fortunes. The bet was alive. Fabio stood, adjusting the cuffs of his black shirt. I'll find my subject tonight. Tonight. Dante raised an eyebrow. You don't waste time. Why would I? The world's cruelty doesn't wait. Why should I? He walked toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the quiet room. Behind him, the men resumed their drinking, their laughter, their bets. But Fabio wasn't laughing. Outside, the October air bit at his skin. The city stretched before him, glittering towers, shadowed alleys, a kingdom he ruled from the darkness. He walked without direction, his mind already calculating. Who would be the perfect subject? Someone desperate enough to agree. Someone proud enough to make it interesting. He turned a corner into a street that smelled of rain and rot. And then he saw her. She sat on a cardboard mat beneath a broken street lamp, her back against a graffiti-stained wall. Her clothes were layered, an old jacket, a faded hoodie, jeans with holes that weren't fashionable. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, and her hands, calloused, strong, rested on her knees. But it wasn't her appearance that stopped him. It was her eyes. Even in the dim light, they burned. Not with desperation. Not with pleading. With something sharper. Defiance. She wasn't looking at him. She was looking through him. Fabio approached slowly, his expensive shoes clicking against cracked pavement. She didn't flinch. Didn't move. Just kept her gaze steady, assessing. You need something? Her voice was low, rough, but clear. He tilted his head. That's my line. Is it? She didn't smile. Because I didn't call you over here. Most people trembled when Fabio Ignacio spoke to them. This woman looked like she might yawn. "What's your name?" he asked. "Why do you care? Humor me." She studied him for a long moment, then shrugged. "Sonia. Sonia," he repeated, tasting the name. "How long have you been out here?" "Long enough to know when someone's hunting." His eyebrow lifted. "Hunting? You didn't stumble onto this street by accident. Men like you don't stumble anywhere." She leaned her head back against the wall. "So what do you want?" He crouched down, bringing himself to her level. Up close, he could see the exhaustion in the lines around her eyes, the way her jaw was set like she was used to fighting. But there was something else too. Intelligence. She wasn't just surviving. She was aware. "What if I told you," Fabio said slowly, "that I could change your life?" Sonia laughed. Sharp and bitter. "I've heard that before. Not from me. What makes you different? I actually have the power to do it." She didn't blink. "And what do you want in return?" "Smart. Dangerously smart." Fabio smiled. "Dinner. A conversation. Your trust." "My trust." Sonia's eyes narrowed. "I don't even know you. Then get to know me." "Why?" "Because I'm offering you a way out." She stared at him, and for the first time, something flickered in her expression. Not hope, but curiosity. "A way out," she repeated slowly. "To where?" "Anywhere you want." Silence stretched between them, thick and heavy. Finally, Sonia spoke, her voice quieter now, edged with something he couldn't name. "Why me?" "If someone offered you a way out of your darkest moment, but you didn't know their motives, would you take the risk? Drop your thoughts below." Fabio didn't answer her question immediately. He stood up slowly, brushing invisible dust from his trousers, letting the silence do the work. Sonia's question, "Why me?" hung in the air between them like a challenge. He could see it in her eyes. She wasn't going to beg. She wasn't going to thank him. She wanted the truth. And he wasn't ready to give it. "Why not you?" he finally said, his tone casual, almost dismissive. Sonia's jaw tightened. "That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting tonight." She looked away, her fingers drumming against her knee. A nervous habit, maybe, or just restlessness. Fabio watched her carefully. Most people would have jumped at his offer by now, asked how high when he said jump. But Sonia James wasn't most people. That's what made her perfect. "Let me be clear," Fabio continued, his voice dropping to something softer, more persuasive. "I'm not asking you to sell your soul. I'm offering you a chance. Food, shelter, clean clothes, a bed that doesn't smell like the street. No strings. No expectations. Just a fresh start." "Nothing's free," Sonia said flatly. "You're right." He slipped his hands into his pockets, the picture of ease. "But sometimes the cost is smaller than you think. All I'm asking for is your time. A few weeks. Maybe a month. Let me help you get back on your feet. After that, you're free to walk away." Her eyes snapped back to his. "And if I say no? Then you say no." He shrugged. "I'll walk away, and you'll never see me again. Your choice, Sonia." The way he said her name, low, deliberate, made something shift in her expression. She didn't trust him. He could see that. But he could also see something else. Exhaustion. The bone-deep weariness of someone who'd been fighting alone for too long. "Why do I feel like there's something you're not telling me?" she asked quietly. "Because there is," Fabio thought. But he kept his face smooth, unreadable. "Everyone has secrets," he said. "Even you." Sonia flinched. Just barely, but he caught it. A crack in the armor. He pressed forward, gentle but relentless. When's the last time you had a hot meal? A shower? A night where you didn't have to sleep with one eye open? She didn't answer. I'm not your enemy, Sonia. I'm just someone who sees potential where others see nothing. Potential, she repeated, her voice laced with disbelief. You don't even know me. I know enough. He crouched down again, meeting her eyes. I know you're still here. Still fighting. That takes strength most people don't have. And I know that whatever put you on this street wasn't your fault. But staying here? That doesn't have to be your future. For a moment, Sonia looked like she might cry. But she didn't. She swallowed hard, blinked twice, and when she spoke again, her voice was steady. If I say yes, what happens? Tonight? You come with me. I take you somewhere safe. Somewhere warm. You eat. You sleep. Tomorrow, we will talk about next steps. And after that? After that, you decide what kind of life you want. She studied him, searching for the lie, the trap, the hidden blade. But Fabio had spent years perfecting his mask. She wouldn't find anything he didn't want her to see. Finally, Sonia exhaled, a long, shaky breath that sounded like surrender. One condition, she said. Name it. If I don't like what I see, I walk. No questions. No guilt trips. No hunting me down. Fabio extended his hand. Deal. She stared at his hand for a long moment. Clean, manicured, a hand that had never known hunger or cold. Then she reached out and shook it. Her grip was firm, calloused, real. Okay, she whispered. I'll take the risk. 30 minutes later, Sonia sat in the back of a black Mercedes, her fingers running over the leather seat like she was afraid it might disappear. She hadn't said a word since they left the street corner. Just stared out the window as the city blurred past. Neon signs, late-night diners, people living lives she no longer belonged to. Fabio sat beside her, scrolling through his phone, already sending messages to his people. Prepare the suite. Discreet. Comfortable. Nothing intimidating. He glanced at her reflection in the window. She looked small in the dim light. Fragile even. But he knew better. There was steel beneath that exhaustion. Where are we going? Sonia asked suddenly. Somewhere you'll be comfortable. That's vague. You'll see. She turned to look at him fully, and for the first time, he saw fear flicker across her face. You're not. I mean, this isn't. I'm not going to hurt you, Sonia. His voice was firm, almost gentle. Whatever you're thinking, stop. You're safe. She didn't look convinced, but she nodded and turned back to the window. The car pulled up to a sleek high-rise in the financial district, all glass and steel, the kind of building that screamed wealth and exclusivity. The doorman didn't even blink when Fabio stepped out with a homeless woman in tow. Money bought silence. Inside, the lobby was all marble and gold, with a chandelier that looked like it cost more than most houses. Sonia's eyes went wide, her steps slowing. Come on, Fabio said, guiding her toward the private elevator. She hesitated. I don't belong here. You do now. The elevator doors closed, sealing them in silence. As they ascended, Fabio watched Sonia's reflection in the polished metal. She was gripping the railing so hard her knuckles had gone white. When the doors opened on the 23rd floor, Fabio led her down a quiet hallway to a door marked 2307. He pressed his thumb to a biometric scanner, and the lock clicked open. This is you, he said, pushing the door wide. Sonia stepped inside, and froze. The suite was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, the lights glittering like fallen stars. There was a full kitchen, a living room with furniture that looked like art, and through an open doorway, She could see a bed so large and pristine it didn't look real. This is too much, she whispered. It's temporary, Fabio said, stepping in behind her. Just until you figure out what you want. She turned to face him, her expression torn between disbelief and suspicion. Why are you doing this? Does it matter? Yes. He met her gaze, and for a split second, he almost told her the truth. Almost admitted that she was part of a bet, a social experiment, a cruel game designed to prove a point. But he didn't. Because I can, he said simply. And because you deserve better than sleeping on cardboard. Sonia's eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. She just nodded, her voice barely audible. Thank you. Fabio turned to leave, then paused at the door. There's food in the kitchen. Clothes in the closet. Different sizes. Pick what fits. Bathrooms stocked. Get some rest. I'll check on you tomorrow. Wait. Sonia's voice stopped him. What's your name? He looked back at her, this woman who had no idea she was the centerpiece of a game she hadn't agreed to play. Fabio, he said. Fabio Ignacio. Okay, Fabio Ignacio. She crossed her arms, her defiance returning. I'm trusting you. Don't make me regret it. He smiled, a real smile this time, though he wasn't sure why. I'll try not to. As the elevator descended, Fabio pulled out his phone and opened the group chat with his men. Enzo, well? Did you find your lab rat? Fabio, I did. Dante, and? Fabio, she's perfect. He pocketed his phone and stepped out into the night. Behind him, 23 floors up, Sonia James stood in a suite that cost more per night than she'd seen in a year, staring at her reflection in the window. And for the first time in a long time, she looked like she might hope again. Meanwhile, back at Regno, Enzo raised his glass, grinning at the other men around the table. Gentlemen, the experiment has begun. Laughter echoed through the room. One of the younger men leaned back in his chair, smirking. How long do you think before she figures it out? Doesn't matter, Enzo said. By the time she does, Fabio will have proven his point. Society's a joke. And she's the punchline. More laughter. But in the back of the room one man, older, quieter, didn't laugh. He just stared into his drink and muttered, I hope he knows what he's doing. Why? Dante asked. It's just a game. The old man looked up, his eyes dark. Games have a way of becoming real. Upstairs, as Sonia ran her fingers over the silk sheets and wondered if this was all a dream, she whispered to herself. What kind of man gives someone everything and asks for nothing? Sonia didn't sleep that first night. She tried. She lay in the bed, impossibly soft, impossibly clean, and stared at the ceiling, her body tense, waiting for the catch. Waiting for the door to burst open. Waiting for Fabio Ignacio to reveal himself as just another predator in expensive clothes. But the door never opened. The sun rose over the city, painting the suite in gold, and Sonia finally allowed herself to believe it. She was safe. At least for now. She showered for the first time in months, standing under water so hot it turned her skin pink. She scrubbed until her fingers pruned, until the smell of the streets washed away down the drain. When she stepped out and caught her reflection in the mirror, clean, bare, vulnerable, she almost didn't recognize herself. Who are you becoming? She wondered. She didn't have an answer. Fabio arrived at noon, knocking softly before letting himself in with a keycard. Sonia was sitting on the couch, wearing one of the shirts from the closet, a simple white blouse that was 2 sizes too big. Her hair was still damp, pulled back into a ponytail. She looked up when he entered, her expression guarded. You came back. I said I would. People say a lot of things. Fabio nodded, acknowledging the truth in that. Did you eat? Yeah. She gestured to the empty plate on the coffee table. First real meal in I don't even know how long. Good. He moved to the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the city. How do you feel? Confused, Sonia admitted. Suspicious. But also, I don't know. Hopeful. Maybe that's stupid. It's not stupid. She stood, crossing her arms. So what happens now? You said we'd talk about next steps. Fabio turned to face her. This was the moment. The moment he'd been planning since last night. He just had to sell it right. Make her believe this was about her, not about the bet waiting to be won. I want to help you rebuild, he said carefully. Not just give you a place to stay, but actually help you get back on your feet. New clothes. Job training if you need it. Connections. A real chance. Sonia's eyes narrowed. Why? Does there have to be a why? With men like you? Always. Fabio almost smiled. She was sharp. Too sharp. He'd have to be careful. Let's just say I believe in second chances, he said. And I think you deserve one. Sonia searched his face, looking for the lie. But Fabio had spent years in rooms with men who'd kill him for showing weakness. Lying to one homeless woman? Easy. Okay, she said slowly. What do I have to do? Trust me. That's it. That's it. She laughed. Short. Bitter. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. I handle the details. You just show up. Sonia was quiet for a long moment, her fingers twisting together. Finally, she exhaled. Fine. But I'm warning you, if this turns into something weird, I'm out. Fair enough. 3 days later. Fabio's people moved like shadows, efficient, silent, professional. They arrived at the suite early in the morning. A stylist named Claudia with silver hair and sharp eyes, a tailor named Marcus who measured Sonia like she was a sculpture, and a makeup artist named Jem who spoke in soft tones and gentle touches. Sonia sat in a chair in the middle of the living room, surrounded by strangers, feeling like an experiment. Which of course she was. Relax, honey, Claudia said, running her fingers through Sonia's hair. We're just here to help you shine. I don't need to shine, Sonia muttered. I just need to survive. Claudia's hands paused. She met Sonia's eyes in the mirror. Surviving and thriving aren't the same thing. You've been surviving. Let us help you thrive. Sonia didn't respond. She just closed her eyes and let them work. Hours passed. Hair was trimmed, conditioned, styled. Nails were cleaned, shaped, painted. Skin was moisturized, massaged, treated like something precious. Clothes were brought in, elegant dresses, tailored pants, silk blouses in colors Sonia had never worn. She felt like she was being erased, rebuilt, transformed into someone else. Almost done, Jem whispered, applying the final touch of lipstick. You ready to see? Sonia's heart pounded. I don't know. Trust me. You're going to love it. Jem stepped back, and Claudia turned the mirror around. Sonia gasped. The woman staring back at her was a stranger. Her hair fell in soft waves past her shoulders, rich and glossy. Her skin glowed. The dress, a deep emerald green that hugged her curves, made her look powerful, regal, beautiful. She touched her face, half expecting the reflection to disappear. Is that me? She whispered. Claudia smiled. That's you, sweetheart. That's who you've always been. Tears pricked Sonia's eyes, but she blinked them back. She wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of strangers. Mr. Ignacio is going to lose his mind, Marcus said, grinning. Sonia's stomach twisted. Where is he? Waiting downstairs, Jem said. He wanted to see the final result in person. The private lounge on the ground floor was empty except for Fabio and 3 of his men, Enzo, Dante, and a quiet enforcer named Cole. They stood near the bar, drinks in hand, waiting. How much longer? Dante asked, checking his watch. Patience, Fabio said, though his own pulse had quickened. He told himself it was just anticipation. Just curiosity. Just the thrill of the experiment. It wasn't anything more. The elevator chimed. The doors opened. And Sonia stepped out. The room went silent. Completely, utterly silent. Fabio's glass stopped halfway to his lips. Dante's mouth fell open. Even Enzo, cynical, unshakable Enzo, stared. Sonia walked toward them slowly, her heels clicking against the marble floor. She looked nervous, her hands smoothing down the front of her dress, but she held her head high. She looked like royalty. Fabio couldn't speak, couldn't move. For the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar. Awe. Well. Sonia's voice broke the silence. Say something. Fabio set his glass down carefully, his eyes never leaving hers. You look. He trailed off. Words failed him. Sonia's lips curved into a small, uncertain smile. Different. Incredible, he said quietly. Behind him, Dante let out a low whistle. Boss. We might have a problem. Enzo shot him a look. What kind of problem? Dante's grin was wicked. The kind where we can't tell if this is an experiment anymore. Fabio ignored them. He crossed the room, stopping just in front of Sonia. Up close, he could see the way her hands trembled slightly, the way her breath hitched when he looked at her. How do you feel? He asked. Sonia met his gaze. Like I'm wearing someone else's skin. You're not. You're just seeing yourself clearly for the first time. Is that what you think? Her voice was soft, edged with something he couldn't name. That I didn't see myself before? I think the world didn't see you, Fabio said. And now they will. She studied him, her dark eyes searching. And what do you see, Fabio? He should have said something smooth. Something calculated. Something that kept the game in motion. Instead, he told the truth. I see someone extraordinary. Later that night, back at Il Regno, the inner circle gathered around the table, passing around photos that Fabio's driver had taken. Discreet shots of Sonia in her new dress, walking through the lobby, sitting in the lounge. Unbelievable, one of the men said. She looks like a completely different person. Enzo studied the photos, his expression unreadable. This is going to work. Society's going to eat this up. We should start phase 2, Dante said. Get her into public spaces. Watch people trip over themselves. Agreed, Enzo said. Fabio, when are you introducing her to the world? Fabio didn't answer immediately. He was staring at one of the photos. Sonia smiling, genuinely smiling, like maybe she was starting to believe she deserved this. Soon, he said finally. But his voice sounded hollow. Cole, the quiet enforcer, leaned forward. Boss, you good? Fabio looked up sharply. Why wouldn't I be? I don't know. You just seem distracted. I'm fine. Fabio stood, downing the rest of his drink. We stay on schedule. 2 weeks, then we go public. As he left the room, Enzo's voice followed him. Don't forget what this is, Fabio. It's a game. Don't get attached. Fabio didn't respond. But as he stepped into the night air, He couldn't stop seeing her face, the way she'd looked at him when he called her extraordinary. Like maybe she was starting to believe it. Like maybe he was starting to believe it too. The next morning, Sonia woke to find a handwritten note slipped under her door. Tonight, you meet the world. Are you ready? F. She held the note, her heart racing, whispering to herself. Ready for what? The restaurant was called Aurelio, a name whispered among the elite, a place where reservations required 6 months' notice and connections most people would never have. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen waterfalls. Tables were draped in white linen. Every fork, every glass, every napkin was positioned with surgical precision. Sonia stood outside, staring up at the golden sign, her stomach churning. Second thoughts. Fabio's voice came from behind her. She turned. He looked devastating in a black suit, his dark hair perfectly styled, his presence commanding even in silence. He offered his arm. I don't belong here, Sonia said quietly. Yes, you do. His voice was firm. Trust me. She hesitated, then slipped her arm through his. The contact sent a jolt through her. Warm, solid, real. Together, they walked through the doors. The hostess looked up, her professional smile already in place. But when she saw Fabio, something shifted, her spine straightened, her smile widened. Mr. Ignacio, she breathed. Your table is ready. Right this way. As they walked through the dining room, Sonia felt eyes turning. Whispers followed in their wake like ripples on water. She kept her chin up, her expression neutral, but inside, her heart hammered. They're staring at him, she told herself. Not you. But she was wrong. They were led to a private corner table with a view of the city lights. Fabio pulled out her chair, and Sonia sat, feeling the weight of a dozen gazes on her back. Breathe, Fabio murmured as he took his seat across from her. I am breathing. You're holding your breath. She exhaled shakily. How do you do this? Walk into rooms like you own them. Because I do own them. He smiled slightly. Or at least, I own the people in them. Before Sonia could respond, a waiter appeared, young, polished, nervous in the way people got around Fabio. Mr. Ignacio, it's an honor. And your guest. The waiter's eyes landed on Sonia, and something like surprise flickered across his face. Welcome to Aurelio. May I start you with champagne? Please, Fabio said. As the waiter left, Sonia leaned forward. Did you see that? See what? The way he looked at me. Like he was surprised. You're beautiful. Of course he's surprised. No. Sonia shook her head. It was something else. Like he didn't expect someone like me to be here. Fabio's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Then he's a fool. The champagne arrived. Then appetizers. Delicate, artful, expensive. Sonia barely tasted any of it. She was too aware of the attention, the whispers, the sideways glances. A woman at a nearby table leaned toward her companion, her voice just loud enough to carry. Who is she? I've never seen her before. No idea. But look at that dress. That's custom work. She must be someone important. Sonia's fingers tightened around her fork. Important, she thought bitterly. 2 weeks ago, I was invisible. Now I'm important because of a dress? Sonia. Fabio's voice pulled her back. You're thinking too loud. Am I? What's wrong? She set down her fork. Nothing. Everything. I don't know. She looked at him, really looked at him. Why does it matter what I'm wearing? Why does it matter how I look? Fabio was quiet for a moment. It shouldn't. But it does. Yes, he admitted. It does. Why? Because people are shallow. They judge what they see before they know what they're looking at. And you? Sonia's voice dropped. Do you judge what you see? Fabio met her gaze, and for a moment, something raw flickered in his eyes. I'm trying not to. Before Sonia could ask what that meant, a voice interrupted. Fabio Ignacio. As I live and breathe. A man approached their table, tall, silver-haired, wearing a suit that screamed old money. His smile was sharp, predatory. Senator Carlyle, Fabio said smoothly, rising to shake his hand. Good to see you. And who is this vision? The senator's eyes raked over Sonia, lingering too long. You've been holding out on us, Fabio. Sonia felt her skin crawl, but she kept her expression neutral. This is Sonia James, Fabio said. Sonia, Senator Richard Carlyle. Pleasure, the senator said, taking her hand and kissing it. Are you new to the city, Ms. James? Not exactly, Sonia said carefully. She's been here all along, Fabio said. You just weren't paying attention. The senator laughed, missing the edge in Fabio's tone. Well, I'm paying attention now. We should have dinner sometime. All of us, of course. Of course, Fabio said coldly. When the senator finally left, Sonia pulled her hand back, resisting the urge to wipe it on her napkin. Does that happen a lot? She asked. Men like him? Constantly. And you just let them? Fabio's eyes darkened. Would you like me to break his hand next time? Sonia blinked, startled by the intensity in his voice. No. I can handle myself. I know you can. He leaned back. But that doesn't mean you should have to. Over the next hour, 3 more people approached their table. A hedge fund manager. A real estate mogul. A fashion designer who gushed over Sonia's dress and pressed a business card into her hand. Each time, Sonia felt the same thing. They see me now. But where were they before? By the time dessert arrived, her head was spinning. Are you okay? Fabio asked. I don't know. Sonia stared at the untouched chocolate mousse in front of her. All these people. They're being so nice. So interesting. But 2 weeks ago, if I'd walked past them on the street, they wouldn't have seen me. They would have stepped over me. Fabio said nothing. And now what? Sonia continued, her voice rising slightly. Now I'm someone worth knowing because I'm wearing the right clothes? Sitting in the right restaurant? That's what it takes. Sonia, was I always worth this? Her eyes locked on his, burning with something fierce and painful. Or only now? The question hung in the air between them, heavy and damning. Fabio opened his mouth, then closed it. For once, he didn't have an answer. They left the restaurant in silence. Outside, the city was alive. Cars honking, people laughing, the world spinning on as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Sonia could feel it in the way the valet smiled at her, the way strangers' eyes followed her down the sidewalk. She was visible now. And it hurt. Sonia, wait. Fabio caught her arm gently. She stopped but didn't turn around. I know tonight was overwhelming, he said quietly. But this is just the beginning. People are going to see you now. Really see you. And that's a good thing. Sonia turned slowly, her eyes glistening. Is it? Because it feels like they're not seeing me. They're seeing this. She gestured at herself, the dress, the hair, the makeup. And I don't know who this is. It's still you. Is it? Her voice cracked. Because I don't feel like me anymore. Fabio stepped closer, his voice low and urgent. You are still you, Sonia. The dress doesn't change that. The attention doesn't change that. You're still the woman who looked me in the eye and asked why. Who didn't beg? Who didn't break? Then why does it feel like I'm disappearing? He didn't have an answer. He just stood there, watching her, and for the first time since this whole thing started, Fabio Ignacio felt something he hadn't expected. Guilt. Meanwhile, across the city, Enzo scrolled through his phone, grinning at the photos already circulating on social media. Someone had snapped a picture of Fabio and Sonia leaving Aurelio. The caption read, "Who is Fabio Ignacio's mystery woman?" "It's working," Enzo said, showing his screen to Dante. "Look at this. 3,000 likes in an hour." "Phase 2 complete," Dante said. "Now we just sit back and watch society prove Fabio right." Cole frowned. "Anyone else think this feels wrong?" "Wrong how?" Enzo challenged. "She's a person, not a science project. She's a homeless woman who got a free makeover and a shot at a better life," Enzo snapped. "She should be grateful." "Should she?" Cole's voice was quiet. "Or should we be ashamed?" The room went silent. Dante broke it with a laugh. "You're too soft, Cole. This is business. This is proof. Fabio's going to win this bet, and we're all going to be richer for it." But Cole didn't laugh. He just stared at the photo of Sonia, elegant, radiant, lost, and wondered if they'd created something they couldn't control. Back at the suite, Sonia stood in front of the mirror, still wearing the emerald dress. She stared at her reflection, the woman the world now saw, and whispered the question that had been building since the moment she stepped into Aurelio. "When they look at me, do they see a person? Or just proof that they were right to ignore me before?" She didn't know the answer. But somewhere deep inside, she was starting to suspect the truth. And it was breaking her heart. Have you ever felt invisible until you changed something about yourself? How did that feel? Share your story below. Backhand index pointing down. The invitations came in floods. Gallery openings. Charity galas. Private dinners with people whose names Sonia had only seen in magazines. Within a week, her face was everywhere. Not famous, but noticed. The mystery woman on Fabio Ignacio's arm. And with the attention came the wolves. Sonia stood in the lobby of a downtown hotel, waiting for Fabio to finish a phone call, when a man approached. He was younger than Fabio, handsome in a polished way, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Sonia James," he said smoothly. "I've been hoping to meet you." She turned. Guarded. "Have we met?" "Not officially." "Adrian Moretti." He extended his hand. "I'm in acquisitions. Art, real estate, rare things." His gaze traveled over her. "Beautiful things." Sonia's skin prickled, but she shook his hand briefly. "Nice to meet you. I saw you at Aurelio last week. You were captivating." Adrian stepped closer. "I'd love to take you to dinner. Get to know the woman everyone's talking about." "I'm not available," Sonia said firmly. "Because of Fabio?" Adrian's smile sharpened. "Come on. You're not his property." "No. I'm not anyone's property." "Then have dinner with me. No strings. Just conversation." She said no. Fabio's voice cut through the space like a blade. He appeared beside Sonia, his expression dark, dangerous. Adrian took a step back, hands raised in mock surrender. "Easy. Ignacio. I was just being friendly. Be friendly somewhere else." Fabio's tone left no room for argument. Adrian's smile never wavered, but something cold flickered in his eyes. "Of course. My apologies." He nodded to Sonia. "Ms. James. The offer stands if you change your mind." When he was gone, Sonia turned to Fabio. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Why? I can handle myself. I know. Fabio's jaw was tight, his hands clenched. But men like Adrian don't take no for an answer. They see something they want, and they take it. And what do you see? Sonia asked quietly. Fabio met her eyes, and for a moment, she saw something raw, unguarded. Someone I don't want to lose. The words hung between them, charged with meaning neither was ready to name. That night, Fabio couldn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse, whiskey in hand, staring at his phone. The group chat with his men was active. Messages flying about the bet, about Sonia's rising popularity, about how perfectly the experiment was working. Enzo. 2 more weeks and we go public with the reveal. This is gold. Dante. Society's eating out of our hands. Fabio was right. People are sheep. Fabio typed a response, then deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. Finally, he set the phone down and closed his eyes. What am I doing? He'd started this as a game. A bet to prove a point. But somewhere along the way, Sonia had stopped being a subject and become something else. Someone he thought about when he woke up. Someone whose smile made something in his chest tighten. He was falling. And he had no idea how to stop. Sonia couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Little things. The way Fabio's men watched her sometimes. Not with respect, but with something like amusement. The way conversations stopped when she entered rooms. The way Fabio himself seemed distant lately, like he was carrying a weight he couldn't share. One afternoon, she was alone in the suite when she heard voices in the hallway. The door was slightly ajar, and she moved closer, listening. Can't believe he's still going through with it. That was a voice she didn't recognize. Why wouldn't he? The bet's almost won. That was definitely Dante. Because look at him. He's in deep. Doesn't matter. 2 weeks, we reveal the truth, collect our winnings, and move on. Sonia's blood went cold. Bet. Reveal. Truth. She stepped back from the door, her heart pounding. What truth? What bet? She thought about confronting them, demanding answers. But something stopped her. If she confronted them now, they'd just lie. She needed to know more. Over the next 3 days, Sonia became a shadow in her own life. She listened. She watched. She pieced together fragments of conversations, caught glimpses of messages on phones left carelessly on tables. And slowly, horribly, the picture became clear. This wasn't about helping her. This was never about helping her. It was an experiment. A social experiment to prove that people only valued beauty and wealth. And she, Sonia James, was the test subject. The realization hit her like a physical blow. Everything. The transformation, the dinners, the attention. All of it was orchestrated. Fabio had chosen her not because he saw potential, but because she was nobody. Invisible. Perfect for proving his point. She'd been a pawn. A joke. Sonia waited until Fabio came to the suite that evening. He arrived with takeout, smiling, completely unaware that her world had just collapsed. I got Thai, he said, setting the bags on the counter. Your favorite, right? We need to talk. Her voice was flat, empty. Fabio's smile faded. What's wrong? Was I ever real to you? The question stopped him cold. What? Was any of this real? Sonia's hands trembled, but her voice stayed steady. The clothes, the dinners, the transformation. Was it ever about helping me? Or was it always just a bet? Fabio's face drained of color. Sonia, don't lie to me. Not now. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but her eyes blazed. I heard them. Your men. Talking about the bet. About the reveal. About proving society wrong. Her voice cracked. I was your experiment. Your lab rat. Your proof. It's not like that. Then what is it like? She demanded. Tell me the truth, Fabio. For once in this whole sick game, tell me the truth. Fabio stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing, searching for words that wouldn't destroy everything. But there were no such words. It started as a bet, he admitted quietly. Yes. Sonia flinched as if he'd struck her. But it's not that anymore, Fabio continued desperately. Sonia, I know how it sounds, but you have to understand. Understand what? That you saw a homeless woman and thought, perfect. She's so worthless. No one will care what I do to her? No. That's not. Was anything you said true? Any of it? Her voice broke. When you said I was extraordinary, did you mean it? Or was that just part of the script? Fabio reached for her, but she stepped back, her arms wrapped around herself like armor. Don't touch me, she whispered. Don't you dare touch me. Sonia, please. I trusted you. The words came out broken, shattered. I actually believed that someone saw me. Really saw me. But you didn't see me at all. You saw an opportunity. A game piece. A way to win a bet. That's not true anymore. It doesn't matter. Sonia's voice rose, raw with pain. It doesn't matter if it changed for you, Fabio. Because it started as a lie. And I can't be with someone who looked at me and saw nothing. The silence that followed was devastating. Finally, Fabio spoke, his voice barely audible. What do you want me to do? Sonia looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the man behind the mask. Saw the guilt, the regret, the pain. But it wasn't enough. I want you to leave, she said. I want you to go. And I want you to tell your men they won. Tell them society is exactly as shallow as you thought. Tell them you proved your point. Sonia, go. Fabio stood there for one more moment, his hands clenched at his sides. Then, without another word, he turned and walked out. The door closed behind him with a quiet click. And Sonia James collapsed onto the floor, sobbing for the girl she'd been and the woman she'd almost believed she could become. Fabio didn't go back to Il Regno. He didn't call his men. He just drove, aimlessly, desperately, until he found himself standing outside the one place he'd sworn never to return, his father's grave. The cemetery was empty, silent except for wind through trees. Fabio stood over the headstone, hands in his pockets, staring at a name carved in granite. Antonio Ignacio. Beloved father. You'd be ashamed of me, Fabio said quietly. You always said power without honor was just tyranny. And what did I do? I turned a woman's pain into entertainment. The stone offered no answers. I thought I was proving something. That people were shallow. That society was broken. But all I proved was that I'm broken. He laughed bitterly. I destroyed the one person who ever looked at me and didn't see a monster. For the first time in years, Fabio Ignacio let himself cry. The next morning, Fabio walked into Il Regno. His men were already there, celebrating. Enzo raised a glass when he entered. There he is. The man of the hour. So when do we collect? We don't, Fabio said quietly. The room went silent. What? Dante frowned. What do you mean? I mean the bet's off. All of it. Enzo's smile vanished. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious. Fabio's voice was steel. What we did to Sonia, What I did, it was cruel. It was wrong. And I'm done. She's one homeless woman, Enzo snapped. Who cares? I care. Fabio's eyes blazed. And if you can't see why that matters, then you're exactly the kind of man I don't want in my circle anymore. He pulled out his phone and opened social media. With steady hands, he began typing. I need to confess something. 3 weeks ago, I made a bet with my associates. A social experiment to prove society only values beauty and wealth. I chose a homeless woman named Sonia James. I transformed her, paraded her through elite spaces, and watched the world bow. I was right. People are shallow. But I was wrong about everything else. Sonia James isn't an experiment. She's a human being. Brilliant, strong, worthy of respect long before I put her in a designer dress. I used her. I lied to her. And I fell in love with her. This post won't fix what I've broken. But it's the truth. And she deserves at least that. Fabio Ignacio. He hit post. Within minutes, his phone exploded. Comments. Shares. Outrage. Support. Condemnation. Enzo stared at him like he'd lost his mind. Do you have any idea what you've just done? You've destroyed your reputation. Your credibility. Everything. Good, Fabio said simply. I deserve it. He walked out of Il Regno and never looked back. Sonia saw the post 3 hours after it went live. She sat in the suite, her suite now, paid for 6 months in advance by Fabio before he'd left, staring at her phone, reading his words over and over. I fell in love with her. Her hands shook. Part of her wanted to throw the phone. To scream. To hate him forever. But another part, a smaller, quieter part, recognized the cost of what he'd done. Public confession. Reputation destroyed. Empire cracked. He'd chosen honesty over power. He'd chosen her. 2 weeks later, Sonia stood outside a small community center in her old neighborhood. She'd spent the days since Fabio's confession thinking, processing, rebuilding herself, not into who the world wanted, but into who she wanted to be. She'd donated most of the designer clothes, kept a few pieces, started volunteering at shelters, using her new visibility to actually help people like her former self. And she'd thought about Fabio. She was still angry, still hurt. But she was also beginning to understand that people were complicated. That mistakes didn't define you. What you did after them did. Sonia. She turned. Fabio stood a few feet away, looking different. Tired. Humbler. He wore jeans and a simple shirt. No suit, no power play. What are you doing here? She asked. I've been volunteering, he said quietly. At the shelter 2 blocks over. Serving meals. Listening to stories. Trying to, I don't know, make up for what I did. You can't make up for it. I know. He stepped closer. But I can try to be better. To do better. Sonia studied him. Why? Because you were right. Humanity isn't a test. People aren't experiments. His voice cracked. And I was a fool who almost destroyed something real because I was too arrogant to see what was right in front of me. And what was that? You, Fabio said simply. Not the dress. Not the transformation. You. The woman who asked why. Who didn't bow. Who saw through all my bullshit and still gave me a chance. He exhaled shakily. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know that you changed me. Really changed me. Sonia's eyes glistened. I don't want the man who saved me, Fabio. His face fell. I want the man who would never gamble with a human soul again, she continued. The man who learned. Who grew. who chose honesty even when it cost everything. Hope flickered in his eyes. And if I become that man? Then maybe. Sonia paused, her voice soft. Maybe we start over. Slowly. Honestly. No games. No experiments. Just two broken people trying to be better. Fabio's breath caught. I'd like that. So would I. She didn't take his hand. Not yet. But she smiled. Small, tentative, real. And for the first time since this all began, Fabio Ignacio felt something he'd never experienced before. Redemption. 6 months later, Sonia stood on stage at a fundraiser she'd organized. An event bringing together formerly homeless individuals and community leaders. She wore a simple dress, her hair natural, her smile genuine. Fabio sat in the back row, watching, clapping when she finished her speech about dignity and second chances. They were together now, not as savior and saved, but as equals. Partners. Two people who'd learned that humanity wasn't something you tested. It was something you honored. As Sonia left the stage, she caught Fabio's eye and smiled. He smiled back. And in that moment, they both knew. Some bets you lose are the ones you actually win. Have you ever been given a second chance to make things right? What did you learn from it? Let us know in the comments. Human dignity is not a game. Every person, regardless of appearance, wealth, or status, deserves respect, kindness, and the chance to be seen for who they truly are. Love isn't about transformation. It's about recognition. May we all learn to see each other clearly.